Hello, this is Molly, and welcome to our look at the Sagittarius full moon lunar eclipse that will be happening June 5th, 2020 at 3:13 p.m. That's Eastern Daylight Savings Time, so make sure and adjust for your location on the planet. Now, a few things I want to introduce to you as we talk about this Sagittarius eclipse is that it's the first eclipse in Sag since 2013. From 2011 to 2013, we had eclipses in Sagittarius, so it's been a number of years, as is always the case with how the eclipse cycle works. And the other notable thing about this eclipse is that it is a brand new eclipse point. We have never had an eclipse in the past century at 16 degrees of Sagittarius. Brand new eclipse point. So that's one of the major things to know about this full moon lunar eclipse on June 5th is that it's literally activating all these new energies that have been dormant and untouched. And the next time we'll have an eclipse at 16 degrees of Sagittarius will be in the year 2039. So important to note that you are opening up, expanding, learning, growing in a whole new area of your chart. And that's where you want to identify where 16 degrees of Sagittarius is for you. And this is where that expansion and learning is coming through, the new awareness, the higher understandings, and also support for shifting your belief systems. Because it's a new eclipse point, there's new knowledge coming forth, new cosmic knowledge, new understandings that's higher, expansive, and asking you to do some really deep work to expand into these new potentials and possibilities in yourself. So that's a very important thing here to understand, is that because it's a Sagittarius energy, which is always about learning and growth, where are you ready to learn and grow based on energies much bigger than yourself, okay? So then you find 16 degrees of Sag and you find the house, and the house is where this energy will be showing up for you. It's the area of life where the growth is occurring. So as always, every full moon is when the moon is opposite the sun. So here we have the sun at 16 degrees of Gemini, conjunct Venus at 12 degrees of Gemini, retrograde. And so this is the reviewing stories in our heads that have animated our lives. How you've moved through the world, what you've understood, what you've assumed or thought was the case, what you took as information, data, details, and you created a story, and that formulated how you think, communicate, the words you say. And this is an eclipse that's asking you to step away from the mind and go up higher into this whole new activation point that's going to expand you. And I'm seeing it as like burst us open, burst us into some new understandings of what's possible that we didn't know we had access to. And that's part of this eclipse too, is that you have access to new information, and it's the consciousness, it's energetics, it's more understandings, higher understandings that are here to support you moving forward. Now, this eclipse is not only dynamic and a new energetic imprint, but it also has this very interesting T-square here, where both the sun and Venus and the moon are squaring this Mars at 15 degrees of Pisces. And the T-square makes things wobbly and very uncertain. There's an uncertainty with this full moon lunar eclipse, because as energies are closing out, you are clearing out space in your belief systems to allow some new awareness, some new spiritual wisdom to come through that's taking you out of your ego. Because as this Mars moves through Pisces, he just has to shake off his ego. His ego means nothing to Pisces. And look how he's approaching this exact conjunction to Neptune, which is the full surrender. So there's a lot of surrender happening here. And it's that floating on the ocean, trusting a process, not knowing where you're going. And that is interjected into this lunar eclipse, meaning there's spiritual growth happening here, but you're not going to have clarity or see where it's going just yet. This is the ending and clearing out to allow room for the new to come in, but it's not immediate. It's a slow process. It's happening on another timeline, and it's happening through a spiritual cycle. So the interesting thing here is that, both Sagittarius and Pisces are very spiritual in their intentions of what they're developing and understanding. And so they together take us out of the Gemini mind, or the cerebral mind, the linear mind, and take us away from too much emphasis on this. Now, yes, you still have to tend to the details and take care of things in your life and run your errands and, take care of these matters that are very Gemini in daily nature. But there's a bigger story unfolding, opening you up to energies you didn't have access to before. And I feel like this is such a big trusting process, but the way to be active with it is to really examine your belief systems and what you have built your life on so far. Because guess what? That's changing. And how do we know that? Well, we look at the ruler of Sagittarius, Jupiter, retrograde in Capricorn, 26 degrees, conjunct Pluto at 24 degrees retrograde of Capricorn. And this retrograde actually this conjunction rather, is going to be very strong the last 10 days of June. So the ruler of the lunar eclipse, Jupiter, is transforming our lives permanently, asking us to go deeper into the soul growth of this time, the understanding of where we are here to be in mastery in a new way, the understanding that you came in with what you needed, and now you're opening up to this new expression of what is correct for you at this time. But this full moon lunar eclipse has so much energy that is uncertain. Okay, it's an uncertainty. So what do you do with uncertainty? Like, how do you handle that? How do you move through uncertainty in your life? And you can look back on your life and look at other periods of time when things were very uncertain. You didn't know what was happening. You didn't know what to do next. It's sort of like being in between homes or in between jobs. And, the advice that I always got, like from my mom, was like, well, you only need one. You need one job or you need one place to live. So focus on the one, or focus your energy on something that will help direct it forward. In this case, yes, you can focus, but also be aware of what you're expecting of yourself and what you're expecting of yourself to do and understand, because the uncertainty that's coming up right now is in your favor. This is a beneficial uncertainty because you're literally sailing to new seas, across new seas. You're going to a new place, a new land that you're ready for. But, you get in the boat to sail across the sea and you don't know what's going to come up along the way, even though you might have all of the navigational tools and understand what's going on with the weather. There's still uncertainty. So it's really the bigger picture of how you're navigating this chapter in your life, but with the driving intention that good things are unfolding as you go, that good things are happening even when you don't know and you can't see what's going on. So part of that, a big part of that, of course, is this Neptune energy squaring the Venus, Sun, and Moon. Every Neptune square diffuses energy. It brings in it's almost like deflating the inflatable bed, and it just collapses. And it's like, okay, that was just hot air. There's not much there. And so how can I relax and surrender? How can I give up? How can I give up my expectations, give up my ego attachments? This is a reminder to stay detached, the observer mode. And when you go higher into the energies of Neptune and Pisces, it is the higher self. It is that aspect of yourself that is the viewer of your own life. So the more you can do that and access that potential, you're going to feel less attached and have fewer expectations. Now, Sagittarius does have expectations. Sagittarius has assumptions and opinions and a sense of right and wrong about how something should happen. And this is a eclipse that says just take all that out, because it could actually be better if you get out of your own way and if you allow the magic to unfold. So we are really working our trust muscles with this full moon lunar eclipse, and we are looking at what we're contributing to the cycle, what we're contributing with our intentions, and what you're willing to release. This is a releasing lunar eclipse. It's allowing, again, something to fall away and be complete because it served you, it served its purpose, and now it's done. So the more you can let it go and release those parts of yourself that were attached to it, the better it's going to serve you as we move through 2020. So stay mindful of that. It's such a big spiritual lunar eclipse. It brings in big spiritual growth and big spiritual lessons. And I think that's the dichotomy we're going to see, is that some people are really going to come up against their big spiritual lessons in their life, while others are going to make these huge quantum developments based on what they have been learning. And keep in mind, the universe is benevolent. It supports everyone in whatever their free will is, their energetics, their choices, their intentions. So it's not about punishment or anything. It's just simply a revelation of how you've been using your energy. And how have you been using that? Do your belief systems fit who you are and what you want to do next? Are your belief systems in alignment with what is true for you now? And that's another aspect of this eclipse is, well, what is true for you? And I think that what's going to happen is that you're going to see what's not. This is the removal from the Pisces energy of removing, that's not me, I don't want that, that's not right, I don't like that, that's not who I am anymore. It's a removing of what you were to help continually develop the bigger potentials of who you really are, and who you really are in an energetic sense, not simply an egoic or personality level sense of self. So a lot of change here. And again, remember this Jupiter conjunct Pluto is world changes. This is big energies in the collective, and of course permanent changes that we've been undergoing through 2020. And so this is reinforcing that a part of yourself is actually, I feel like there's a part of the energy field that's so ready for these changes that you can feel it. Like you can feel it, that I'm ready to go into more of what I want and who I am. And there could be discomfort. I mean, that's just part of any conjunction with Pluto, is that it can bring up angst and fears. It can bring up the parts of yourself that wants to know but doesn't know, and the powerlessness or a sense of control. And, you know, all of that is just showing you where you're not trusting. And the more you can work on those deeper subconscious messages, the more you're going to be able to navigate this very dynamic June and July. Now, keep in mind, this is the first eclipse of 3. We have the mega eclipse on June 20th, and we have another eclipse coming up June 3rd, 4th, 5th, depending on your time zone. So, I'm sorry, July, the first week of July. So there's 3 eclipses, and this one is an opening and a releasing, and helping you continue your expansion without being too in your mind about it, or thinking that you have all the answers or all the information sorted out. That's another part of this, actually. If you've been too attached or clinging to a specific outcome or solution, this is probably going to shake it up. This is going to shake it up because there's something else in the works. So what you could do in your natal chart is not only identify where the 16 degrees of Sagittarius is, you'd also look at where the transiting Sun and transiting Venus are here, and these second decan of Gemini, okay, because there's a conversation between this house and this house in your chart. So let's say the 3rd house and the 9th house in this chart. And then that conversation that's underway is being strongly intruded upon by this Pisces energy. So then you'd look at where the Pisces energy is in your chart, which house that Pisces is, and you would then have this 3-way conversation happening. in these houses in your chart. Now, this is a little bit more advanced, which I know many of you are, so I wanted to give you a little bit more to go on here. But you'd be looking at what this three-way conversation is. And then, because there's always more, you then would go to your Capricorn area of your chart, which you've already been experiencing. And now this Jupiter comes in, and Jupiter conjunct Pluto, it's like you can't miss it. Like, it's so obvious. Oh, here we have all of these changes in my life, in my world, in my surroundings, all of this, you know, you can't miss it. And this is another, I'd say the fourth component of the chart that shows you what is pushing you into more of your soul's evolution and mastery. And again, with Pluto, it is a letting go energy. It's the letting go that happens as the transformation occurs. And then the transformation will unfold over the rest of this year and into 2021. So new in a lot of ways, because it's a new eclipse point. And then also release is strong. And the more that you can be prepared for that, for the changes that are very dominant here in this eclipse, because you know you can trust the cycles of life, and you can trust that you're being taken care of even when you can't see it. So yes, uncertainty is strong, but I feel like that's the universe's way of saying, okay, your assignment right now is to just look at what needs to be taken out. You know, it's kind of like you clean the closet and you're like, okay, well, let's get rid of things. What do I need to donate? What do I need to pass on to friends? What do I need to sell? Like, let's just get rid of the removal before I go and buy and bring in the next clothes or the new size. Okay, so this is really helping you with that, clearing out and going into the Sagittarian energies of your belief systems and the guiding truths that you have used to navigate your life so far. So I hope this has given you some good food for thought. I do have the June 2020 monthly soul growth astrology webinar available, which goes through all of the month of June and talks about this eclipse even more. And you can find that below this video. And if you use the coupon code Gemini, you can get the full thing for $11. And it's like an hour and 45 minutes of astrology for the month of June. So I hope that helps you as well. And thank you so much for joining me, friends. I'm wishing you the very best as we enter and move through this powerful month in 2020. And I'll be back here soon with not only my next podcast episode, but also the video for the June 20th mega eclipse at 0 degrees of Cancer. So thanks for your likes, subscribes, thanks for sharing, and I'll talk to you soon.